Every time you hop in your car, you're putting your trust in this invisible network of guardians. And I'm not talking about airbags or seatbelts. Nope. I'm talking about the stuff that's bolted to the side of the road. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the brilliant and totally hidden engineering of highway safety.
I mean, seriously, have you ever really looked at them? They're just kind of there, right? These simple strips of metal we fly past. But that simple look, well, it hides a really complex and fascinating story about physics and life-saving design.
That's the key right there. Every single curve, every bolt, every post, it's all part of a system that's been engineered for one single purpose: to control the immense, unbelievable energy of a car crash and give you the absolute best chance of walking away from it.
Now, to really get just how brilliant these solutions are, we first have to appreciate the enormous problem they're designed to solve. And it all boils down to one thing: physics.
Just think about it for a second. A 2-ton car moving at 60 miles an hour, that's basically a missile loaded with kinetic energy. If that car leaves the road, all that energy has to go somewhere. So a barrier's job isn't just to be a wall. Its job is to absorb and redirect that force in a way that protects the really fragile humans sitting inside.
So how do engineers even begin to tackle this? Well, they've come up with two main strategies, two types of guardians that you see lining our highways, and each one has a totally different philosophy for handling the physics of a crash.
On one hand, you've got your metal guardrails. Their whole strategy is to be flexible. They're designed to give way, to bend, to deform, basically to act like a cushion that absorbs the crash energy while guiding the car to safety. But then, on the other hand, you have these massive concrete barriers. Their principle is just brute force. They don't bend. They don't yield. They use their sheer weight and toughness to contain a vehicle and literally bounce it back into its lane. It's a fundamental choice. Do you absorb the blow, or do you deflect it?
Okay, so let's zoom in on the one we see pretty much everywhere: the metal guardrail. Because man, when you get up close, it is a masterclass in engineering detail.
The heart of this whole system is the W-beam. And that specific W shape, that's not for looks. It's what gives the rail incredible strength while also letting it bend in a really predictable way. It's all built to a super strict standard, that ASHTO M180 you see here. Think of it like a recipe that guarantees every single guardrail has the exact right mix of strength and flexibility to do its job when it matters most.
And this is where the real genius is. It's in all these little details. See how the rails overlap with the flow of traffic? That's a huge deal. It's so a car can't snag on a sharp edge. If there's a tight curve, the rails are actually bent at the factory to get the shape just right. The sections are joined right at a post, the strongest point. Oh, and the whole thing is coated in zinc to fight off rust, making sure it's just as strong 10 years from now as it was on day one.
Putting one of these in isn't like building a backyard fence. It's precision work. After the rails are perfectly aligned, every single bolt is tightened to a very specific torque. It's kind of like tuning a guitar string. If it's too loose, it's useless. If it's too tight, it'll just snap. If these bolts aren't perfect, the whole system could fail. So that precision, that is literally the difference between a safe redirection and a total disaster.
Okay, but what about the most vulnerable point? The very end of a guardrail. I mean, hitting that head-on could be catastrophic. Well, that's where engineers have developed this really specialized piece of gear to handle, you might say, the art of the crash.
It's called an impact attenuator, but you probably know it as a crash cushion. And the best way to think about it is like a crumple zone for the highway. Its entire job is to sit there at the end of a hard barrier and just soak up a head-on impact, bringing a car to a controlled and, most importantly, survivable stop.
So let's look inside a common one, the quad guard. When a car plows into it, these crushable cartridges just collapse like an accordion, absorbing a ton of energy. At the same time, the steel panels on the outside telescope backward along this central monorail, which keeps the whole thing from twisting out of shape. It's like a beautifully choreographed demolition that's designed to bring a car to a safe stop.
And check this out. This one detail shows you just how far ahead these engineers are thinking. The rules actually ban crash cushions that are filled with liquid. And why is that? Because if it breaks open, that spill could cause another car to spin out and crash. They're not just solving for one crash, they're actively trying to prevent the next one. That is an amazing level of detail.
All right, let's switch gears for a second, talk about those chain link fences you see all along the highway. You might think they're just another kind of barrier, but their job is completely different. They are not designed to stop a car. They're designed to control access.
Yeah, They're built to specific standards, galvanized steel, a certain mesh size, certain wire thickness, and it's all strong enough to keep a person or maybe a deer from wandering out into traffic, but it will do almost nothing to stop a car. And that's a really important distinction. Barriers protect you from roadside hazards, but fences protect the road from you. So when you start to put all these pieces together, the guardrails, the concrete barriers, the crash cushions, the fences, you start to see the bigger picture. This isn't just a random collection of hardware out there. It's a complete, deliberate blueprint for safety.
What's this number? 6 millimeters. That is the maximum bumper dip that's allowed on the surface of a concrete barrier. To put that in perspective, that is thinner than your smartphone. Why so picky? Because anything more than that could snag a car that's sliding along it and turn what should be a controlled redirection into a deadly spin.
So here's the big takeaway from all this. The safety features that line our highways are absolutely not an afterthought. They are a deeply engineered, highly specified system where every single tiny component has a job to do. Nothing is left to chance because, well, there's just way too much at stake.
So the next time you're on the highway, take a look around. I mean, really look. Notice the way the guardrails overlap. Spot those crash cushions protecting a bridge support. And just appreciate the incredible, invisible engineering that's riding shotgun with you every single mile of the way. What else will you notice? I guarantee, the closer you look, the safer you'll realize you are.